Hello, everyone. This is Sam from Pasa Sustainable Agriculture. Thanks for tuning in to our conversation series where farmers share their successes and challenges. We also talk about resources that are helping them farm in a way that's meaningful, manageable, and sustainable. Today, I'm talking with Mark Fujita from Funny Farm Apiaries. They have over, or maybe close to 100 hives now. And yeah, Mark, thanks for checking in.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
So we can start with like what got you into beekeeping?
So my grandfather and my father were both beekeepers. My dad had an orchard of about 500, 600 trees, and he needed bees for pollination. Um, I was probably 10 when I worked with him in the bees. So I didn't learn a lot. I just learned about bees and was involved in the bees. And then when I bought our farm, or when my wife and I bought our farm 20 some years ago, I wanted bees as a hobby. So I got one hive, and one became two, then four, then eight, and 12. And that's just how they progress.
So can you share with us? So you have a background in the military. Has any of your military experience kind of helped you out with beekeeping?
I wouldn't swear to that because when I was in the military, so I enlisted in the military right after high school because I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And I I really wanted to fly, but I got out of high school, and you need to have 4 years of college to be able to fly. So I joined the Air Force. I did 4 years in the Air Force as a vehicle operator dispatch, and then when I wanted to reenlist in as far as in computers, something to do with computers, but they said no, you're going to have to reenlist first, and then we'll cross train you. And I said, oh no, been here, done that. I understand how this works. If I don't get it in paper before I sign up, you guys own me for another 4 years, and I didn't want to do vehicle operator dispatch for another 4 years. So I got out of the military and just kind of banged around different jobs till I finally found something that worked for me. Um, but yeah, I don't know that the military gave me any kind of maybe some discipline to make sure I was on time for my jobs and things like that. But as far as helping with the farm, I had grew up on all kinds of farms when I was a kid. My dad had the orchard. I worked for dairy farmers around me. I worked for vegetable farmers. The good thing about going into the military and being the vehicle operator dispatch, I knew how to pretty much drive almost any kind of vehicle before I even got there from the farm.
Um, okay, so like so far, how's your season been going?
We had a good year. We began the season with about 50 or so hives and pretty quickly ramped up to almost double that. And a lot of splits and a lot of swarms. And it was a weird year based on the weather.
Mhm.
We had that really dry June, which I thought was going to be indicative of the whole summer. And I thought, oh, we are going to be in what they call the summer dearth, where there's nothing really blooming because everything is so dry. But that never really happened. It seemed like we got just enough rain, even though it was hot, we got just enough rain to allow everything to bloom pretty periodically. And we did really well on a lot of our hives. They produced, some hives produced well over 200 pounds of honey extra, and some of the hives produced 60 pounds for themselves, and that's about it. Just depended on the area. So yeah, the season went really well. Almost 100 hives this summer. Now we're down. We had to combine a few, so we're probably back down to around 80, 85 hives.
Okay. So you're getting towards like the end of the season where you're
It's
almost done extracting from the
Yeah,
hives?
we're just about done. We're probably going to go around one more time to all the yards. What we do is we try to balance honey across all the hives in each yard so that everybody has the same amount of honey. At least we want to try and leave at least 60 pounds on everybody, on every hive. so that they can use that throughout winter. If the winter is anything like last year, 60 pounds will not be enough at all, because last winter, October, November, and December were all really, really warm months, and they were flying every day, and there was nothing available for them to bring back. So when they'd get back to the hive, they were just eating honey like crazy. And a lot of my hives were out of that 60 pounds by the beginning of December. So starting in December, we were feeding sugar blocks, winter patties, and fondant from December on. We went through December, January, and February feeding them. We were checking hives every 2 to 3 weeks just to make sure they had enough resources so they wouldn't starve.
Okay, can you share like one beekeeping story?
Let me think for a minute. We had So lately we've been going around checking, making sure all of our hives are queen right. And everybody says, "Oh, is there always one queen per hive?" And yes, that's the norm. Um, but it's not unheard of to have a mother daughter, one queen above the queen excluder and one queen below the queen excluder. And we found that multiple times this year. So to say that there's only one queen per hive isn't always a given. And then with beekeeping, nothing is ever a given. Um, Everything can change or be different from year to year. But like I said, we found many hives that had multiple queens this year. Um, Sometimes we've seen queens, multiple queens hatch all at the same time, and we might have three, four, five virgin queens running around a hive, and we're scrambling to get queen catchers and catch them all and put them in separate new hives so that we can take all five of those queens and have them become actual functioning units. So it's been a weird year for queens. Um, we've had quite a few, I won't say quite a few, but we've had more than usual of multiple queens or two queens in a hive. And when I say a queen excluder, it's a screen that goes above the three bottom boxes, and it keeps the queen down there so she doesn't go up through and lay in the top boxes, which is our honey boxes. You don't want queens to lay eggs in your honey boxes because then you can't extract any of that. So we put a queen excluder on. It's a metal screen that the bees can go through, but the queen cannot fit through. And more times this year than we would have liked, we've gotten to a hive and there's a queen in the top part of the boxes and there's a queen in the bottom part. And they're coexisting and they're happy as clams. And it's a bizarre situation where you have to then figure out you have to split that hive into two and move each queen. So that's a uncommon occurrence, but it's been more common this year than in past. And I don't know if that was us or it was just the way the queens decided to do it this year.
So you sell your honey at farmers markets and online. Do you carry or sell any like unique niche products?
Probably for us, our most unique niche is the flavor infused honeys, where my wife takes natural flavorings and infuses the honey with that flavoring. So, case in point is vanilla bean. She'll take vanilla beans, scrape the insides out, put that in the honey, and let it sit for a while, and it picks up the flavor of the vanilla beans. Um, my wife started that when she first started beekeeping because she didn't really like honey, but she wanted the benefits of it. So to get over the taste, she used cinnamon in the honey to make it more palatable to her. And from there, she's branched out to almost 30 or so flavors, which is another way that we try to help people get used to. I have a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't like honey," but then they try one of the flavored honeys and they're like, "Oh, I could do that. That's good." So it gets them used to honey. And then they come back later and say, "Oh, I'm going to try something different." And then eventually, a year later, I see them and they're buying regular honey because now they're like, I like it all now, and which is good.
So within beekeeping, um, what does sustainable agriculture mean to you, or how would it look? How does it look like to you?
Sustainable means I'm trying to get all my hives through winter. I would like to have 100% survival rate every year. When I first started, some years I'd have 100%, some years I'd have 100% loss. Now, I don't know that I ever had 100. Yeah, I did. I had a year where I had two hives and I lost both of them. So that was 100% loss. Most of the years were 50% loss. I'd lose half of everything, be it not maintaining them right or not understanding how much honey they needed or things like that, or the mite problems that we have. We have varroa mites, which are a very big problem. Treating for mites is I believe, the number one reason beekeepers are losing bees. I watch a lot of forums, I'm in a lot of groups, and I see a lot of people asking that question of why did my bees die every year? And a lot of it's due to the mites. Even though they think they're treating right, they're not treating as aggressively as I think they should be. And then there's a whole ton of people out there that want to do non or treatment free, and it can work, but I'm not sold on that working 100%. So that's the sustainability part of it, is just trying to make sure that I get through winter with almost as many hives as I went into winter with, whether it's feeding or treating or doing things like that, and learning more and more about managing the hives over the winter, because beekeeping is like you talk to 10 different beekeepers, you get 12 different answers. And it's just hit or miss what works for everybody. Um, I say this every year. You could do everything right and still lose bees. You can do everything wrong and still have your bees survive. It's agriculture. There's no set, fast rule that there's no playbook that says this is guaranteed to make it work. So that's the toughest part of sustainability of bees.
What is your experience with like participating with like USDA programs? If you don't have any experience, like could you share like what is your ideal situation or program you would want to be implemented?
So we don't deal with USDA ag very much. Um, I'm registered with the state as far as the beekeepers, because we have to be registered. You're supposed to have all your hives registered, or every beekeeper is supposed to be registered, so that they know what area you're in, if they're going to spray in the state for mosquitoes, which I just saw Texas is having a big problem where one of the counties went around and sprayed, and then everybody in that area is losing bees like mass quantities. So you should be registered with either the state or USDA ag as far as you having bees. The other thing is we don't, there's not a lot of programs to help beekeepers from USDA ag per se. Um, what was the other organization? FSA?
Yeah, FSA is one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't deal with them either. I don't think. And as far as programs that would help us, I'm not sure. I'd like to see USDA ag help out with losses every year if they could, like some kind of, I don't want to say insurance, but hey, we had a really bad year, we lost 50% of our bees. Could they help us replace those bees? Possibly. That's, as a commercial guy, I don't, well, I'm not really a commercial guy, but we're what they call sideliners. We have a business but we're not thousands of hives, so we're called sideliners. But even as a business, I'd like to see some kind of, I know crop loss, like if farmers lose crops, they get reimbursed for things. I don't know, I wonder if there would be a program like that. I mean, to replace a hive every year is probably $130, $140 a piece. Um, we replace them by splitting them, one of our other hives or bigger hives, in half, so we don't have a cost. But I don't know. I don't know if there's a program for that. I'd like to see that, but and that would help some of the other smaller beekeepers too, because I've talked to some people and they've lost every hive for the past 3 years. And, that's a pretty good shot if they're running 4 or 5 hives and you have to replace them every year. USDA could step in with some of that, I would think. I would like to hope they could.
Okay. So I know you guys have like a mentorship program with Hives for Hero. Can you
Correct.
speak on that?
A veteran will contact Hives for Heroes and they pair them up with a local mentor. They work with us for about a year. So, being a veteran, um, and seeing how poorly our veterans sometimes are treated, we are trying to give back to the veteran community, especially because beekeeping is a very therapeutic, not just for veterans, PTSD, but for anybody. It's so therapeutic. So the Hives for Heroes, we try to give back to veterans and help them get through the trauma that they've had, by letting them beekeep, and that calming effect of the bees really does. I don't know how much it's helped you, but my veteran that I'm mentoring right now he's been working with me all summer and opened up a whole lot more, and he seems a lot more comfortable and generally better, in a better place. And I'm glad that that's happening. You've probably been here at least every month from the beginning of the season. How is the program working for you? Do you feel any kind of benefit from it?
So I would say yes, a lot of benefit. Just to get the experience, hands-on experience, and be able to get a one-on-one like feedback on things on like how I'm doing. It also benefits me in the way where I don't know, I feel calmer when I'm beekeeping. It's kind of like it forces you to be calm because if you're like a little agitated or a little anxious, they can seem like they can sense it and they'll definitely get angry if you're not on the same page as them.
So something else that they say, that the frequency of the hum of the bees, I think I've read that it's the key of C, which is a therapeutic calming frequency, and it's supposed to help with people with anxiety because it's supposed to calm you also, not just because you have to be calm, but the hum of the bees calms you down so you're like more relaxed and able to focus on the actual task at hand of beekeeping.
All right, well, Mark, thank you so much for taking the time and talking with us in this interview. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Sure. And like I said, I mean, if anybody has any questions about the Hives for Heroes program, they can always look up our website or our Facebook page, Funny Farm Apiaries. We come up pretty readily in the search engines. Give us a call. Right now we do have 3 mentors, and there's only 3 of us, so our mentees, we're maxed out right now. But I'm hoping in spring you guys will all graduate because we have 3 that are going through the summer. We get you through till spring, and we're going to be handing off hives to you and getting 3 more mentors. So we'll see how that works in spring.
All right, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to learn more about the mentorship with Hives for Hero, go check out hivesforheroes.com. That is HIVESFORHEROES.com. Pasa Sustainable Agriculture is a nonprofit that supports sustainable farms and equitable food systems through farmer-driven education, research, and community. This conversation was supported by a grant from the USDA Office of Partnerships and Public Engagement.